Okay, let's unpack this. What happens when a deeply personal mission, a mission to save just one person's story, turns into a major multi-million dollar publishing imprint? We're doing a deep dive today into a different kind of knowledge preservation, not, facts or dates, but personal histories. We're looking at the incredible success story of Jeffrey Mason's guided storytelling journal, specifically the one you've probably seen everywhere, Mom. I want to hear your story.
And what's interesting is the two different angles we have from our sources. On the one hand, you have these really heartfelt reviews, people calling the journal this thoughtful, essential gift for preserving family memory. But then on the other hand, we've got this very detailed publishing industry report. It just lays out the cold, hard numbers, the huge sales figures, the joint venture with source books, and the whole strategy behind launching this new imprint.
Right, and that's our mission for you today. We want to understand how those two sides, the emotional and the commercial, came together so perfectly. We're going to trace the whole path from the journal's really painful origins to breaking down the mechanics of why they work so well for families, and then, tracking that amazing business story, how a self-published idea became Sourcebook's 18th specialized imprint.
It's really a case study in turning, I guess, vulnerability into a very viable and very scalable product.
So let's start with the creator himself, Jeffrey Mason. This wasn't some publishing novice, right? The sources describe it as someone with, more than 20 years of experience and this really clear passion for personal growth, whether that's in couples or business, or bigger organizations. His whole worldview seems to be fundamentally optimistic.
Exactly. And his core beliefs, optimism, universal equality, the power of forgiveness, the law of reciprocity, they're actually pretty crucial to understanding how the journals are built. They're not just a random list of questions. They encourage a very specific, a very positive way of looking back on your life. One review even calls him the perfect reference person for building meaningful relationships.
Yeah.
Because he just fundamentally believes in the value of every single person's story.
But the real spark, the thing that created this structure for these stories, it wasn't a business plan. It wasn't some self-help conference. It was personal devastation. There was this deeply emotional catalyst that made him realize just how fragile memory is.
What's fascinating here is how that deeply personal experience of loss created a product that appeals to almost everyone. This idea of preserving memories for the future. The initial idea, according to sources, it came from his sorrow over losing a close relative to Alzheimer's disease. And that's the core realization, that every life has a story, and those stories are always at risk of just disappearing. That's what drove him.
Yeah, and the industry report really specifies that moment. It confirms he launched the series in 2018. And it was a direct response to his own father's struggle with Alzheimer's. So that urgency, that race to capture a history before it fades away, that's the emotional anchor for the whole concept. It's what makes it feel so real.
It's the ultimate race against time, isn't it? But framed in this beautiful way, Mason himself said that, what started as the small personal goal to save his own family's memories it grew beyond anything he could have imagined. He said it was profoundly humbling to see how these journals were helping countless other families strengthen their own connections and find new ways of understanding each other.
It really speaks to this huge underlying human need that maybe traditional publishing had kind of ignored. The need for a simple, practical tool to create your own family archive.
And that takes us right to the product. Specifically, Mom, I want to hear your story. I think we have to look at the anatomy of this journal because the design is absolutely key to its success. It's not a blank book. It's described as more of an appeal, an invitation for mothers to just relax, reflect, and share their lives.
That distinction, not a blank page, I think that's everything. The biggest challenge with journaling is just the sheer effort of deciding where to even begin. You stare at that blank page, and suddenly 80 years of history feel, paralyzing.
Exactly. And Mason's genius was in removing that friction. He made the process easy, enjoyable, and maybe most importantly, achievable. He did that with structure. The sources say there are more than 250 prompts and questions, and these are well-written prompts. It's not just, what's your favorite memory? It's really targeted, making sure the user reflects on specific moments, childhood adventures, school days, big turning points, life lessons.
That sheer volume, 250, means you could just chip away at it. You don't feel like you have to write a whole biography in one sitting. You just answer the question on that page. It feels manageable. But I want to challenge this a bit. So, the heirloom quality is central, but the sources also talk about this dual value. There's the tangible legacy, but also this intangible personal well-being. How does a guided journal actually work as a as a form of therapy.
That's where the structure really pays off again. So the legacy part is obvious, right? You're creating this beautiful heirloom, fine paper, nice layout. But the self-care component is more subtle. When you do this kind of structured, guided recall, especially about formative or positive moments, you're basically practicing self-reflection. The review we looked at specifically calls it a therapeutic avenue for gratitude.
So it's almost a form of active mindfulness. By being prompted to remember these moments of, I don't know, perseverance or small joys, the writer isn't just documenting their past for their kids. They're actually reframing their own life story in a positive way, right here in the present.
Precisely. One Amazon reviewer even highly recommended it for any mother who's prioritizing self-care. They linked that focused, structured process of filling out the journal directly to personal wellness. So it becomes a tool for empowerment, just as much as it is a gift for documentation. And ultimately, it's about deep bonding. The book helps create richer conversations between mothers and children, building narratives that honor, as one source put it, the richness of a life lived to full.
And that emotional resonance, backed by this super effective structured design, that's what led to the staggering commercial success. So let's shift gears now. Let's go from that emotional core to the cold, hard, and frankly, extremely impressive business numbers this thing generated.
The scale of this, even before the Sourcebooks deal, was just phenomenal for a self-published series. Mason had already expanded the line to more than 25 different titles. They were translated into 3 languages, and total sales were already over 2 million copies worldwide.
2 million copies.
Yeah.
I mean, just to put that in perspective for you, that's not just a bestseller. That is a sustained cultural moment. The core books, the mom and dad journals, have consistently been in Amazon's top 100 best-selling books since April. That's top-tier performance that just screams sustainability. It's not a flash in the pan.
And that sustained performance is the key insight. That's what led to the next step. It proved this wasn't a fad. It was a proven market.
Here's where it gets really interesting on the publishing side. The shift in scale is just immense. You go from one man's personal project to an entire corporate division. So November 19th, 2024, the partnership with Sourcebooks is announced. They create the Hear Your Story imprint. This is Sourcebooks' 18th imprint, which signals a huge strategic investment. And the deal secures global translation rights and audio rights for the whole series.
And that part, the global translation and audio rights, that signals that Sourcebooks sees this as a long-term perpetual brand, not just a book series. They've essentially acquired the methodology for guided storytelling. For a company like Sourcebooks, that's a crucial piece. They aren't just selling books, they're investing in a proven structure that has, totally de-risked their investment.
Right. And the immediate rollout plan just confirms how shrewd that business approach is. They are not waiting around. They're going right after the gift market.
Exactly. They are immediately launching a debut collection with the 4 core journals: Mom, Dad, Grandmother, and Grandfather. And the timing is perfect. These 4 are scheduled to be in Barnes & Noble stores by Black Friday, November 29th.
That timing is just brilliant. You're maximizing the entire holiday gift-giving season. And it looks like they're even refreshing the content for the new corporate structure. Each journal will now have more than 200 curated prompts, all refined for that mass market push.
And that's just phase 1. They have 2025 all mapped out, with revised editions timed to hit other major gift-giving dates. So you've got the updated Mother's Day edition coming out March 25th, and the Father's Day one on April 29th. This whole plan just shows a very sophisticated understanding of the retail calendar, of the gift cycle economy that these journals just thrive in.
And this whole initiative, creating the 18th imprint, you also have to see it in the bigger picture of Sourcebooks' strategy right now. This is not an isolated decision. It fits a very aggressive and very successful pattern.
That's right. Sourcebooks, which was founded back in 1987 by Dominique Rocca, is in the middle of this massive expansion of its nonfiction programs. This launch comes right after their big 2023 acquisition of Callisto Publishing, which was a clear move to buy up proven, profitable content streams. Mason's journals are just the logical next step on that path.
So it shows they're getting really good at identifying and then just buying up high-margin proven content.
And the data proves the strategy is working. Sourcebooks' adult nonfiction sales are up almost 20% since last year. The Hear Your Story imprint is clearly a key piece of their plan to sustain and really to turbocharge that growth. They're buying into a niche personal legacy that is proven to be successful and highly profitable. It's just fuel for that 20% growth.
So what does this all mean for you? It means the market is just ravenously hungry for products that help people forge genuine emotional connections. Products that help build a legacy, especially when the process is made easy. The journey of this series, from one man's urgent personal response to his father's Alzheimer's to a 2 million copy global success, and now this powerful new publishing imprint. It's just a testament to the commercial power of package vulnerability. You get the thoughtfulness of a deeply personal, lasting gift, but with the simple, structured feel of a self-help tool.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it does raise an important question about the cultural implications of this kind of structured memory recall. I mean, just pause and consider that 2 million people around the world are actively writing, reflecting, and formalizing their family histories into these physical heirlooms. What's the long-term impact of that? This massive distributed effort to document life stories, all driven by these specific curated prompts. It suggests, I think, a profound shift in how we try to preserve and pass on our identity to future generations. We're moving memory from, say, the fluid oral tradition to a formalized, written, cherished family archive.